how quiet, mission-led service creates the loudest impact. Please welcome Shri Madhusudhan Sai, a globally respected humanitarian and spiritual teacher. He leads free hospitals, nutrition programs for over 3 million children, and values-based schools across 80+ countries. He founded India's first free medical college and is redefining health and education as a public good. Can we please have the AV?
One world, one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Founded by Shri Madhusudhan Sai, a young humanitarian and visionary, the mission has established institutions in healthcare, education, and nutrition across 100 countries over the past 13 years. All services are provided free of charge. The Annapurna Morning Nutrition Program. Today, over 10 million school children across India and beyond receive the Sai Sure multi-nutrient supplement, helping them begin each day nourished and ready to learn. In education, the mission has established a university, 27 residential campuses in India, as well as a school in Nigeria, offering free education from grade 6 through to doctoral studies, with many coming from rural backgrounds and 40% being girls. The vision of accessible medical education was realized with the inauguration of the Shri Madhusudhan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. On the healthcare front, the mission has established the world's largest network of free pediatric cardiac hospitals in India, Fiji, and Sri Lanka. Since 2012, over 37,000 life-saving procedures have been performed at these hospitals.
I had the privilege to visit the hospital, and one thing missing there: cashier's desk. I've never visited a hospital which doesn't have a cashier's desk. All the treatments are free of cost. I have seen parents with worried faces entering the hospital, but once they are inside the hospital, the love and care that all the doctors and the staff shows towards not just the patients, but the entire family. I have experienced it myself.
The mission's next milestone is a 600-bed state-of-the-art hospital in Muddanahalli, the world's largest fully free hospital. This monumental dream to create a brighter, equitable future for all. Together, we are one world, one family.
Join me in welcoming Shri Madhusudhan Sai to the stage. Can we have a round of applause, please? Joining him is another legend, Shri Pullela Gopichand, one of India's greatest sporting legends. He won the prestigious All England Badminton Championship in 2001 and later founded the Gopichand Academy. As a coach, he mentored Olympic stars like Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu and has received the Padma Bhushan and Dronacharya Award. Welcome, sir. And finally, moderating the session is Mr. Krishnakumar K, Executive Editor, TV9. With over 2 decades of experience in journalism and digital media leadership, Krishnakumar has been instrumental in transforming TV9 Digital into a leading voice in India's news ecosystems. Starting as a senior anchor and journalist, he evolved into a visionary content and communication strategist, merging editorial depth with digital-first innovation. Let's welcome our closing speakers.
I know it's the last session for the day. It's been a very packed day for all of you. It's still wonderful to see this entire auditorium packed to the rafters, and I feel extremely privileged to be even on the stage with the gentleman that you see over here. Thank you, first of all, for being with us on this wonderful location, IMBU 2025. And the name of the session is The Silent Catalyst, How Mentorship Fuels Breakthroughs. It's called Silent Catalyst because mentorship often works silently, and it shapes somebody's spirit and not just skill. It shapes success and significance. It does so many things silently. So my first question to both of you, because as far as mentors go, I don't think this country has seen too many better ones than the ones you have. You have redefined badminton. You have, been a mentor for seekers across domains who have come to you. So let me begin by asking him, tell us, at what point did you think that, no, it was my path to be a mentor? When did it come to you?
Good evening, namaste, namaskara. Some things in life you don't choose, they choose you. So I think I did not choose this path to be a teacher or a social worker or a mentor. This is the path that chose me, and I just followed suit. In our Indian culture, mentorship can be broadly looked at as a guru parampara, guru shishya parampara. You see, even as you coach and train people, the next generation badminton players, you are the coach for them, you are the mentor, you are the guru. And management gurus are there, we all know of Philip Kotler, and marketing gurus and so on. So guru is the word. I think mentor is the English one, doesn't do enough justice. But guru is far deeper in its approach to mentorship. And to me, it has come more like a gift that has been thrust into my hands by destiny. And I just took it because I understood that was what I was meant to do. But as I kept doing it, training youngsters in the fields of education or healthcare or even in the fields of social work and things like that, and of course spiritual mentorship for those who need it, I realized that that's what I was born to do, and eventually I accepted that as my swadharma, we call it in our scriptures. Gita says swadharma, what you were born to do. So I realized it a little late, but I realized it well, and then it just is a part of life, you see.
You realized well in time for the benefit of so many of us over here. Gopichand, I'm going to come to you on the same question. From a great player to a great coach to somebody who runs an academy and redefines the sport in this country, when did it come to you? Because I'm sure you began by wanting to be a great player. When did that thought come? Okay, you know what? My path is to mentor future talent.
Well, good evening, all of you. For me, playing was only by chance, a lot more by chance. Every Telugu family would have a kid wanting to be an engineer or a doctor. I was in some sense lucky. I failed my engineering exam, so I got another year to play badminton. That is how my story of being a player was. So it is only by chance that I could become a player. But then when I won the All England, almost the first thoughts which came was if I can win the All England, there are many other players who are contemporaries of mine or who were seniors to me who also could have done. And that kind of made me start to think of coaching. It was never a career choice for me. It was not planned in any which way. And in fact, when I started my journey, it was like, I remember after finishing playing, I got an offer to be a commentator. And one of my friends was like, just take it. And I said, no, there's a coaching opportunity as well. I said, forget it. Don't. Where will you keep running after players to work hard? It may not happen. So just go have a nice life as a commentator and a critic. That is what his advice was. So then I went to my head coach, then Puri sir, who knew me well. I went to him and asked him, sir, I want to be a coach. He said, Gopi, if you don't become a coach, then everybody will tell that Gopi had an opportunity, he didn't do it. That's the only thing they'll say. But if you become a coach, every day they will start saying something to you. Be prepared for it. But still, knowing you well, I would say that you should coach, because this is what I think. So when I started coaching some of these players whom you know, Kashyap was my oldest of the trainees. He was about 16. Sai Pranit was about 11. Saina was about 13. Sindhu was 9. So all of them were very young. So I could look at them and say, in my mind, I'm thinking, boss, there is talent. I wish you can see what I can see. And literally it was that bit of belief that I have become a player, they have much better chances of becoming players than I have. So I should not let it go. And if I waste it, then I'm wasting the lives of so many other kids. So that is how, and the thoughts which came up, and that's how I just took up. It just happened. It was not in any which way planned in my career.
I don't know what to say to that. I was about to do that actually. I was about to do that. Wow. Sir, I wanted to ask you this thought of one world, one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a very powerful principle. And if he is redefining a sport called badminton, you've been redefining what socially conscious medical education can be, socially conscious medicine and that service can be. Tell us, how do you use this philosophy of one world, one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as part of your mentorship for students learning medicine and then, providing medical care?
The idea is very ancient. As we know, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the original idea from our Upanishads, where we, as Indians, we always thought of everybody as ours. This was not a new thing to us. We believe that everybody on this earth is our family, including animals, just as I was watching the video there before. But somewhere we lost this idea because of whatever westernization or the colonial times when people started thinking of themselves as us versus them. So we wanted to bring back this idea because the kind of problems that you see in the society today, I don't see any other solution, political, religious, or any other type. It has to be a global people's movement where they believe in togetherness, they believe that everybody belongs to them, and so they should be kind to each other to begin with. So the idea is very simple. If you think everybody is a family, then you know how to treat each other well, if you're a good family, that is. And this idea, if it sinks into the minds of youngsters, especially people who matter, like the educationists, because they shape the future of the country in terms of education, or healthcare professionals who save critical lives, if they think that they are people who are serving their own family member, then they will do their very best beyond all the considerations of economics and commerce. They'll do it with all their heart. So that is something that I wanted the people to learn across the world, especially the youngsters. And so we made everything free because you don't charge your own family. I'm like, no mother says to the son in the morning, so this is the dosa for your breakfast and that will cost you 20 rupees. I don't know in today's times, but yeah, but nobody asks their own people. So also a doctor shouldn't ask a patient, the teacher shouldn't ask a student to pay a fee. That was my logic. Only then you can really make this idea work, it's really sink in and absorb. So we made all education free, healthcare free, and nutrition also free to millions of children, just to tell them that you are a part of a family and your hunger matters. If you can't get educated, it troubles us, and if you have a problem with your health, it also bothers us. So with that idea, we started this One One Family Foundation, which runs several institutions across. But I think that is one solution for the problems that the world faces today. And it can unite people in this feeling of oneness, one family. And once they understand that, I think they would know how to look after each other. So that is the simple logic and why we do what we do.
I want your views, on his work. You're also the recipient of an honorary doctorate from the university. So what are your thoughts and how? Talk to us about your association with Shri Sadhguru Madhusudhan Sai.
Well, I was fortunate that I could visit the hospitals in Raipur, in Mudinhalli, and also the one in Telangana. As Sachin has mentioned in the video, I think one of the things which you see clearly is that you go in there and there is no cashier desk. There's no roll of money there. And the hospital is, I think, better than many corporate hospitals which are there. So I think it's one fantastic place. The love, affection, the smiles of kids, I think is amazing. And for me, what shocks me is his work ethic, because he's continuously working. And also the scale at which they do things, in the sense, if you look at the work, the scale, then the dimensions, in the sense they are right from Fiji to Nigeria to parts of India in the corners. And it is 13 years and they've built such massive things and the number of people. So I think It's amazing. It's great work, and I'm so happy to see this work happening.
It's
I must
incredible
mention
work.
he's a big supporter of our cause. He has visited every hospital and he has been talking about it to the people who matter. So yeah, we are very grateful to him. He does it on the side though.
I want to ask you, sir, in the middle of all this, you are teaching some of the most important things that people need to learn to live a life that's happy, stable, be at peace with yourself. Some of the most important lessons that you need to learn, whether you are playing badminton, whether you are a TV anchor or everything, your lessons are universal to whichever domain you come from. Do you also learn when you are doing this mentoring to everybody from students to corporates to everybody else? What do you learn? What is your transformation process like?
See, they say when one teaches, two learn. And that's what happens in every field, including spirituality. So when I'm talking to the students or to our staff or our volunteers, I'm extremely conscious that whether I am following those principles or not. So that puts you on your toes because you can't be something and say something else. The perfect integrity of thought, word, and action. So the first thing I learned from this process of mentoring is that you have to be what you want others to be. You can't be somebody and say things other than that. So you have to be absolutely in alignment. Your thoughts, words, and actions should be in alignment. So they taught me that because initially you could just go and lecture them, but then you come back and think, do you even follow all of that? Then if you don't follow, then you feel that conscience pricking you. So then you go back and work doubly harder to just ensure that they learn from you. So I think being a mentor is being a role model. And that is something they taught me in return because they improved me. Every time I had to face them, I had to look at myself in the mirror and ask whether I am what I want them to become. And that has really shaped my character and what I am today. So I'm very grateful to all those who have allowed me to mentor them because in the process, I have got mentored.
It goes back to what Vicky was talking about in the previous, be the change you want to see. How do you do it? And then you do it, you're a living embodiment of it. Let me bring this question back to Gopichand as well. Here you go, you have mentored people that we are watching on TV today, and we're so proud, and then PV Sindhu was spoken about how, you pushed her to express herself, on the court, and then that changed her game. There was a breakthrough moment for her, in the way her game went from one level up. Tell us, how do you identify it as a mentor? When you're looking at somebody, young talent, that talent has not been fully tapped and explored. What is that process or a moment where you look at it and go, that's what that person needs to do to take things to the next level?
Well, as Sadhguru said, I think if I can just point out how coaching happens in the sense, when kids are being coached, they tend to actually become a version of what the coach's style of play is. So what we say is when your kid is young and you want to be coached, I think it's most important that the coach's style of coaching or playing is what is there, because the kid is not listening to what you're saying, kid is seeing what you're doing. And that is something for grassroots coaches we see is very, very important. So that's a point which I thought was very relevant. I think as far as this mentoring thing is concerned, I think a lot of it is how you feel. And there's no particular style or way of thinking. But I think the whole business of upbringing somebody up comes when you have a strong sense of belongingness. You are affectionate, you're loving that person, you're seeing yourself in them, and you're believing more than what they're believing in themselves. Your belief of their potential is more than what their belief is. And that brings out the best things, and it's not from the mind. It happens deep from the heart. When you want things to happen badly, then the house somehow figures its way out. And that's how some of these things happen.
Let me ask you this in a different way, the same thing I asked him. He's saying that from the heart he's able to, identify. How do you talk to somebody who's lost in life, who's consumed by doubt and fear that they've lost their sense of purpose? They don't know where they're going. And I'm sure even before people can talk, I'm sure you can see them from a distance and go, this person needs that help. Can you talk to us about how you do it?
They say when the disciple is ready, the guru appears, and the disciple is really ready, the guru disappears. Yeah. So yes, the first part, when they are just ready, when they are looking for a guru. See, the universe has its own way. When you ask for something sincerely, they say it conspires to get you that, right? So when you're lost in life, you have lost your purpose, you have self-doubts lingering in you, you do not know what's the next step. You seek the help of the universe, you see, and somehow magically, in some way or the other, a guru or a mentor or a teacher appears to you. Somehow you find your way to them. That is how it's designed. So once they come to us or come to me and they are in that situation of mind, see, again, as he said, it's all from the heart. Head cannot comprehend this because heart knows much more than head, and call it seat of intuition or the greater seat of the supreme self, or whichever way you want to define it. But it has its own intuition. It knows what is right, what is wrong, and you just know it because you know it. So when people come with their problems and you look at them and you take a very compassionate stance, you see, you want to help. You want to be of some use to them. That is the job of a teacher, to help the child. So at that point in time, when you really think from, or rather feel from the heart, their pain, their problem, their difficulty, what they're going through, your intuition guides you from there on. It takes over, it knows exactly what that person needs at that point in time. Yeah, it could be in a moment of prayer, or it could be just an insight that comes to you from somewhere up above. But because you are extremely concerned about the welfare of that person, you really want to help them. It's not a lip service. You really want to do good to them. When you are so sincere and selfless, then the intuition insights come and you really know what you need to do with that person. And it might be totally different from what it appears to be on the surface. You see, there are many layers that the person has. But that intuitive capacity that you develop over a period by being extremely selfless and with pure concern for the other's welfare gives you all the insight, the knowledge, the methodology, whatever it is needed. So it's really not something that you can document and publish a book about it. Maybe a few incidents here and there. But it's so much to do with your own personal connection with that other person and the selfless love and compassion that you have for the other person. I think that is what makes a guru do what he does. And when the person is out of the trouble, he's on his own, you don't need a teacher. I always tell our people, if they need you all through their lives, like many gurus make themselves so important that the disciples cannot live without them, then that is no guru at all. A guru should make oneself redundant after some time, make the disciple self-sufficient. Till then, you have to hold their hands and guide them, and then you should be out of the picture.
I want to add on and ask you one more thing. Can you tell us any moment of, a single moment of insight that completely changed a person that happened with you, when you were, mentoring somebody or helping somebody regain their happiness and their balance?
Absolutely, a lot of incidents, but one of the early incidents were probably around 13 years ago. There was a boy in our school who just somehow found me in the dark. I was walking, caught my hand and said, I really want to be in this institution. My parents don't want me to be here. They want me to do MBBS, the typical doctor, engineer, IAS officer syndrome. So he also was being pushed into that, but he really wanted to be a part of something as amazing as this. And he just wanted to do a plain degree so that he could spend most of his time with me and learning. At that point of time, I just closed my eyes and really prayed for him because he was really sincere about what he wanted. He was a brilliant fellow, got a scholarship, got some state prizes and things like that. So the parents had high ambitions or desires. But this boy didn't want that. So at that point in time, I remember I simply prayed that let what he wants, may that happen. May he continue on this path of service and not get entangled into all the other ambitious things. He went through a lot because his parents were not agreeable to that, which most of the parents are not. But, because at that point in time, I assured him that what he thinks is right. I feel it intuitively, and you must follow this path, and we will support you in whatever way you can. And today, he's my personal assistant. He's finished his MBA, he's finished everything. Can you stand up? And I sought his permission if ever, and I keep teasing him. Now you did your MBA, like so many of MBAs in this room. And now you're assisting me in my office and other things. He's just 28. But more than that, I feel very good about it because I've saved so many patients from dying at your hand because you would have been a bad doctor. And India, India is full of them, you know. We have a lot of, every day we lose a good farmer and get a bad doctor or a bad engineer, so that happens all the time. So I saved him because of that intuition, and he's very happy doing what he's doing now.
Oh, fascinating, fascinating. You know, while we're talking also, I sort of figured out the fact that a mentor doesn't necessarily do only mentoring in their life. They have multiple roles that they perform in life. One of them is mentoring for you and everything. For you, you know, Gayatri is now emerging as one of India's best doubles badminton players. In your mind, is there, you know, segregations of, okay, now I'm a father, now I'm a coach, now I'm a mentor? Or how does it work? They all blend together. How does it go?
No, I think it's supreme God's grace that two people from a family can be top 10 in the world. I just feel so blessed about it. I may not be all the time successful, but at least in my mind, I want to be the father who's a fan of her more than a coach who's a critic of her.
Okay.
So I think it's supremely valuable for me, and I feel really blessed that she is playing. And for me, I think having seen the world over, at a point of time, me winning was supremely important. At a time when my students winning was supremely important. But today, for me, the kid to be happy is most important. To hell with being a coach or to be a best player, it doesn't matter. I think it's very important that the joy of pursuing the path to perfection is very, very important. It's just not at the end of the road. It is the path which is supremely important. So I truly feel this. I hope I'm able to convey it. I have a great relationship with her and father above the coach.
Okay. I only asked that question because what is it like watching her play? How nerve-wracking it is for you? Because there is love plus technique plus so many things that must be going on inside of you. As a mentor, so then you're saying the fact that you're telling Gayatri to essentially be played for the joy of playing the game. It's not about the results, isn't it?
I think for most players, I would think that is it. In the sense, it's
not just for Gayatri.
not just for Gayatri. I think it's important. But it's also important that if somebody is crying, you tell them not to cry. But if somebody is not crying, you make them cry.
That's a very good one.
So I think to shake people up is important. To push them to their boundaries and beyond is important. But also to bring them back to sanity is important. To actually have a life of joy in work is important. It's not just at the end of the day that you've achieved, so you'll be happy. But I think the path to is also very, very important. The path to is supremely important. It should be joyful. It should push your boundaries. And at the end of your career, you should put your hand on your heart and say, boss, I've given it all I have. And you give me another life also, I cannot do better than this. I think that satisfaction to have is important. When you get older and when you retire, to say that I have really worked hard, I don't think I could have done any more. To finish every day, end and say, I have worked really hard and I deserve to sleep well and rest. I think that is important. So for me, I think that pursuit is very important, and at the end of the day, it's not just the results which matter.
Listening to both of you is like therapy for me. And for therapy, I think for everybody watching over here, to both of you, incredible, incredible. So as, you know, mentors par excellence, if I can ask you, we are at Imbue 2025, the best, you know, B school in the country. Big round of applause for IIM Bangalore, the best B school in this country. Look at the audience over here. You know, if I were to ask you, sir, what would be your lesson? Because some of them most of them are corporate leaders. They are going to become, if not today, in the matter of next year, they're going to get that promotion and become the CEO or the vice president or the president, as the case may be. They're all right here. What would be your lessons to them to be that mentor that the people in the organization deserve? Like, he's talking about badminton as a joy, playing badminton. Be happy doing what you're doing. The rest of the people are not playing badminton, they're not playing sport. They have to go to an office and carry a laptop to the office. They find it far more difficult to be happy just doing what they're doing without any final outcome, without that promotion, without that increment, and etc., etc. From your end, having mentored people with such great difficulties and emerge out of that, what would be your lessons in mentorship to people here who are going to are already corporate leaders, or a matter of on the verge of becoming corporate leaders? What kind of a mentor they should be, and how should they measure themselves whether they are a good mentor or not?
I do not know whether I am even qualified to advise the best brains in the country like this. But
humility is fine, but I'm sure everybody's waiting to hear you.
But I really think one thing that I could definitely share with them is that they definitely have experience on their side, right? Because you have lived the life and you have made your mistakes, you have learned your lessons. All mistakes are only lessons in disguise. So do not ever get bogged down by the idea that I made mistakes, because we make mistakes, we make decisions as managers, leaders, and organizational heads. We have to take decisions. We make some decisions which may not be amazing, but then we learn from them. So I think be a lifelong learner, because if you want to be a teacher, you have to be a learner in the first place. You cannot stop learning. And where do you learn the best? You learn from your own self. When you make your mistakes, you learn from them. And that is the most important value that a mentor should carry. Have that humility to say, yes, I was wrong, and I've learned my lesson, I will correct myself, and I will next do whatever is right. So when you develop that attitude of learning, it could be from anybody that you can learn a lesson. And then you can be a good teacher, a good mentor to the next generation, to the next set of people that come to you. But if you do not have this lifelong learning, that appetite for continuously improving yourself and accepting and learning from your own mistakes, then we cannot be good teachers at all. I think that humility should be there. Even our scriptures say that, A beautiful line from Shikshavalli of Taittiriya Upanishad says, when the students are graduating, the teacher is giving them the final set of instructions and advice. In that, he says, Yanyasmakam sucharitani tani tvayopasyani noitarani. He says, whatever is good in us, please follow only those, because we also might have deficiencies. The teacher is so humble to say that to the students as they're graduating, that take the good things that we have done from, and we must have done mistakes also, plus do not follow those, follow the good things we have done. That humility in a teacher of a rishi, not even a teacher, an enlightened one, should teach us that as mentors, we have to be extremely humble, we have to be lifelong learners, and we should be able to learn from our own mistakes and help them not to make the same mistakes, you see. Many times we don't want to tell them that we have made these kind of mistakes because, it may bring down our image or whatever. But if you could share it with the next generation honestly, that these mistakes I have made in my own times, you please avoid these, and maybe you would surprise them, because they might be idolizing you and thinking that you are a perfect being and you never make a mistake. But then you should be humble to say, I did make a mistake, I do make mistakes, but I learned from them, and I want you to learn from my experience and not make mistakes and go through the same thing again. I think that humility should be there in mentorship, and learning, that appetite for continuous learning should also be there in a mentorship. I think because we have a lot of head weight, then because we have studied in the best institutions, running the best jobs, so there is a possibility that humility might very quickly evaporate and in the corporate desert. So please make sure that you remain moist and remain humble and keep learning and keep teaching to others, share your experience with them.
Wow. Humility and gratitude are lessons I'm taking straight away from this. Both are the only two simple solutions for a happy life. But you're talking about, today's world and all that. The importance of spirituality in today's world is risen with, there is a mental health crisis going around, and, you have Gen Z taking to spirituality. Usually in India, what happens is that people do all their stuff and post, they've reached their peak in the professional performance and earning money, and then they think about spirituality. Today, because of how big and important mental health is, spiritualism and spirituality is becoming important for all the way from Gen Z up to all the retirees. isn't it? So in that sense, talk to us about the spiritual journey per se for an individual. How should one position themselves in this world of excess information, excess misinformation, too much distraction, too much ambition, and instant gratification, all wrong things. All things that is meant to keep you unhappy is what we're doing right now. So in that sense, going on the spiritual path is a necessity. And starting out early is becoming important, isn't it, sir?
I think first we should redefine spirituality. As you said, there's a lot of misinformation, and the idea of spirituality is highly misused or abused to some extent, because people think spirituality means you are religious, or you go to a certain temple, you follow certain rituals, and you follow a certain whatever patterns and philosophies. But truly, spirituality is nothing to do with anything outside. It has to do with everything within you. A religion has to do things outside. They are like schools, which teach you the subject, but the subject itself is spirituality, which you can learn from within. So it's all about going within. So to be spirituality is about you. I think anybody should be interested in themselves, right? Everybody should know who they are, what they are. And that is an effort that everybody should put. And to me, spirituality is just know who you are and why you are here, what's your purpose, why you're born to do what you're doing. If you find that out, I think a lot of things will get sorted out. Most of us do not know what we are here to do. We are just following somebody. We are being somebody else, not being ourselves. And that is the biggest mental wellness crisis. Because we are always trying to fit into somebody else's shoes, which we are not. And that is what creates all the confusion and chaos in the head and all the pressure. Because we are always doing something other than what we were born to do. I think figuring that out is the first step in spirituality. What's your purpose? Why you're born to do? Yes, you might be a management graduate, but are you here to lead a corporate, or you're here to lead a social organization, or maybe start an entrepreneurial venture? Whatever your purpose.
Or be a news anchor.
What is the problem? Yeah, or you could be a TV anchor if you're very unfortunate. But whatever you are born to do.
I asked for that one.
No, because I have my problems with media. But I'll keep it for
We'll
another
do that
time.
in another session separately.
They need a whole lot of advice, but another time. But what I'm saying is that Krishna says, Swadharme nidanam shreya paradharme bhayavaha. To do what you're born to do, even if you die doing it, it is better than copying somebody else's dharma. So all mental crisis today is because we are just trying to be somebody else. Including, as a businessman, you define success as being the next unicorn or being the next billionaire. And that is perhaps not what you're meant to do. You're just here to solve problems and create value for the society. Whether it translates into a bigger top line or a revenue or profit, that is a secondary thing. So what are you here for? I think most of the people get into the wrong lane. They think they're here to make money. Business is to make money. That is one of the goals. That is not all of it. So they keep doing things over and over again, which is not what they're born to do. It's like if I tell Gopi that you shouldn't have been a badminton player, you should have been a doctor. Imagine the plight of the patients, of course, but his own plight. He's being somebody else. He's living in somebody else's skin. And that is so uncomfortable. And that is what is causing mental health crisis, because they're just doing something that they were not born to do. They were not meant to do, but because of social pressures and the definition of success in the society, which is generally power, position, popularity, or wealth, and things like that, has made them become somebody else. And because you're living an artificial life, somebody else's life, you can never be happy. How can you be happy? If you wear somebody else's clothes, misfitting ones, if you wear somebody else's shoes, which are not your size, how can you be comfortable in that? So we are all living somebody else's life, and that is the biggest mental health crisis right now. Spirituality is about finding out who you are, what you are born to, what you are born for, what's your purpose, and living that purpose with conviction and courage, irrespective of what others say. So to me, spirituality is be yourself. Don't be somebody else. And if you be yourself, you need to spend time with yourself to know who you are. So spending a little time every day with yourself, identifying your thoughts, your patterns, your emotions, and what makes you really happy. Beyond all those worldly parameters of success, what really makes you feel good? And that is your spiritual question. That is what you should be investigating and finding answers to. So spirituality to me is as simple as that. Finding out who you are and what you are born to do. And if you follow that, there won't be many mental health crises. Maybe you won't be as rich as what you are, but you will be much happier than what you are today. I think that is spirituality to me.
That's Spirituality 101 for all those watching. In case you are not in the spiritual path, you can begin right there where he was talking about examining yourself. Gopi, I had to ask you this. Talk to us about your spiritual journey. So many of us don't know what our purpose is, what we are meant to do. You figured it out quite early in your life. And then you had a spiritual journey, didn't you?
No, for me, when I thought I was going to be the next big thing in badminton, I was 19 years old, I tore the anterior cruciate ligament of my left knee. On the way back to Delhi, I picked up a book. It was the autobiography of a yogi. And that was one of the first books which I picked up. And in that 6 months when I was away from badminton and on the bed lying down, I kind of tried to do things which help me play better. Somebody told me that if you visualize things, they will happen. So I visualized me playing badminton lying down. And I visualized myself winning the Olympics and a lot of other things like that. So much later, I won I didn't win the Olympics, but I won the All England. It's a very interesting how this thing goes off also, is that when I've lost the Olympics in Sydney, I just went back and slapped myself hard, because after the Olympics loss also, I was visualizing myself winning a medal. And the national anthem being played and the flag going up, then I was like, none of this happens. The universe doesn't conspire to give you, even if you want it badly. That's what I thought. And then with very little expectation, I go to the All England and I win it. To realize that what I was thinking the Olympics was actually the All England. And things don't happen when you want it. Things happen when you deserve it. This has been some of the biggest things for me. So me, that's been the spiritual journey in that sense. Then I kind of went into coaching, believing that these kids have the potential and I can see what they can achieve, and I wanted them to win badly. And I gave it all I had. They won. And I still was searching. Purpose was done in some sense, but also there was so when I look back at this entire journey, I remember the quote of Jillelemudi Amma. She's from Chirala. She says that the hard work and inspiration is what is the outer work which is seen by others, but even the impulse and inspiration to do it comes from the divine. So how can you say that you are the karta and you are the doer in that sense? So that is what for me is spirituality. At the end of the day, it's God's grace. Whatever I've achieved has been planned by Him in a certain way. I keep reminding myself that, boss, it is you who's doing it, and I'm an instrument. Of course, I go up and down still. I have my emotional pluses and minuses. But still, I try to remind myself when I'm going up that it is not me, so that when the down happens, I don't have to fall, and I remain stable. Happiness is what not I seek. I just want to be peaceful. And that's how my journey has been. And I've been very fortunate that I've achieved much, much more than what I could have ever dreamt of. So I'm scared of dreaming, because it would always be lesser than what God's given me. So for me, this whole journey has been magical, and it's only been a spiritual journey. It's not been a journey of producing players. It's a journey of actually learning about myself. And God's grace has taken me so far. I don't know what is in store for the future, but it's been a great journey I've had.
You just said, I don't know what is in store for my future, with a big smile. Sadhguru Madhusudhan Sai, the moment you say, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, it brings anxiety. And today the biggest, disease, if you ask anybody, everybody has this disease, irrespective of other physical ailments that may have. Anxiety. I don't know what is going to happen in the future. Right? And he's the one who's saying, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, with a smile. Most of us can't say that, can we? And that becomes the fulcrum of our happiness, so to speak. It is letting go of that control and having that sense of detachment. You keep quoting Krishna, and he's the biggest mentor of all time, and he keeps talking about this: detach yourself from the final outcome. And in that sense, how do you sort of crystallize those big philosophies for today's day and age, for people who are running anxiety? Anxiety has become the buzzword today when it comes to mental wellness. So somebody comes to you with a high anxiety. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and that is making me anxious.
See, uncertainties are always there, right? Nobody knows the future. If somebody says they know the future, they would be lying, because it actually gets shaped by what you do in the present, right? What your future is about. So when you are over concerned about the outcomes of whatever you are doing, and not just enjoying the process of doing, that's where anxiety starts building up. That's what Krishna is saying. You have the right over doing. You have no right over the results. In the sense, it's not that you should not do things without any goals in mind. He's not saying that. There are certain goals will be achieved if you're doing the things right. But what Krishna is trying to tell is that, are you enjoying the process? Are you enjoying the journey? Are you 100% in it, or your one eye is into the future, watching the future, and one eye in the present? Yeah. That's not going to lead you anywhere. So he says, live in the present. And if you can learn to live in the present, your anxiety will disappear. You will become like a child, he's so happy just doing what he's doing. He's 100% in it. He's not thinking about the next thing at all. Now, can it be achieved so easily? No, because we are all defined by certain social norms where we are continuously asked, what next, what next, what next, A child is born, everybody's, what next, which school next, which college next, what will you do after that, which job, whom will you marry, and where will you build your house? What next is something that keeps driving everybody here. This is how the world has become. So they don't allow us to enjoy our present. We are either living in the past or the future. Okay. So trying to live in the present is the key to get rid of anxiety. Now, how do you do that? One, if you have faith in the higher self. See, I did not want to say, because a lot of people, when people who are quote-unquote gurus start talking about God and things like that, a lot of people are put off saying that, we knew this was coming. So, because I travel around the world, not everybody believes in the same kind of God. But let us say, if you believe in a higher power, your anxiety levels will be very low, because you are always under that protection. You believe that there is something higher guiding everything. So what's the point in me suffering through that? It's not necessary. I read a story where a child was in the plane, and the plane was going through turbulence, and everybody was scared. The child was playing the video game and was not bothered. So the passenger asked, how come you are not afraid? He said, because my father is the pilot, and I know that he will take care of the plane. So there is a greater force at work. Believe in destiny, believe in a supreme self, believe in a greater God. That reduces anxiety to great extent, because you believe in a greater system, greater design. So that is the spiritual, or whatever, the godly answer to this. But on the worldly side, if you don't believe in anything higher, you will be definitely anxious, but then you start living in the present. You start enjoying the process, giving it everything that you can at that moment, and leaving it, because anything that you do right will have the right results. It's a natural thing. That's the law of action. So one, believe in a higher self, and believe that there is a greater design at work that will help you live a very peaceful life. And what he said, even things go right, you won't swell up with pride and arrogance. When things go wrong, you don't shrink in and get depressed. Both won't happen to you. Sthita prajna is the word Bhagavad Gita says. You become a sthita prajna, equanimity. You develop that. But if you can't do that, live in the present. Just give your very best at this very moment. Don't worry about what happened yesterday and what will happen tomorrow. If you start practicing to live in the moment, live in the present, live in the now of things, then also your anxiety levels will come down.
I'm going to ask the audience to give a huge round of applause, because what these two gentlemen have done is that in the last 40 minutes told us all that we need to hear. We don't need to check with ChatGPT next time we have a mental health crisis or anything that we're going through. Apparently people are doing that these days. So what you heard the last 40 minutes, I don't want to ask these gentlemen to speak anymore. I think they've said all of it. I'm going to ask for another huge round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Gopichand and Sadhguru Shri Madhusudhan Sai. It's been fascinating listening to you, and it's a privilege having this conversation with you. A privilege being here at the Imbue 2025 in this august presence of great audience and your presence as well. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And and as I'm going to repeat this again, this was therapy session for me, listening to both of you. I'm sure it has been the same for all of us. So huge round of applause again for these two gentlemen.
Thank you to our speakers for that soul-stirring discussion. The speakers weaved together so many themes
this
around mentorship, success, spirituality, happiness, that I'm sure has sparked conversations with our inner selves that I suspect we'll be having for a long time to come. Thank you again for sharing your wisdom with all of us. We now invite Subodh Patil, EGMP and co-convener Imbue 2025 to felicitate the speakers. Subodh.